Okay, so while people are still popping in, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. I've spoken to quite a few of you, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Katiana, and I'm the Assistant Director of Graduate and Online Programs at McGeorge School of Law. So I help you guys with your application. I can discuss the programs with you, and then if you're admitted and you decide to come to McGeorge, I'm also your academic advisor. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Um, so today I'm going to just kind of do a little bit of information session on our MSL programs and then our online LLM. I don't know if any of you have a prior law education, but we will also go over the LLM program as well. But we will start with some background on our university, and then I will discuss the MSL program first. So University of the Pacific is located in Stockton, California. That is our main campus. It was founded in 1851, and it was established as California's first university. We do have campuses in Stockton, Sacramento, and San Francisco. The law school is located in Sacramento, California. It opened in 1924 as the Sacramento College of Law, but was later renamed after our founder to McGeorge School of Law. And we became a part of University of the Pacific in 1966. The Sacramento campus is home to several programs, the JD, MSL, MPP, MPA, LLM, and JSD. And over the last few years, we have also added the School of Health Sciences. Okay, so now let's discuss the Master of Science in Law program. And if at any point you have questions, please feel free to pop them into the Q&A, or I don't know if the chat is working, but you can definitely pop questions into the Q&A, but there will also be time at the end, and we'll discuss your questions. So our MSL has several concentrations. We have three that are fully online in business law, government law and policy, and water and environmental law. We have two hybrid in health law and human resources. And then we have what we call a custom concentration. So this is just an MSL without a concentration attached. A lot of students use this when they are interested in multiple areas, or they're interested in an area that we don't necessarily have, that one of the concentrations doesn't cover. A lot of times it's a combination of several of the online, or maybe a little bit of the online and the hybrid concentration. So it gives a lot more flexibility with what classes you can take. So why should you pursue an MSL? So there's a few reasons. The MSL does give people the ability to gain expertise in a particular area of law. So most people who have a legal background have a JD. They can practice law as an attorney. The MSL is an opportunity for students to gain a background in law without going for the full JD. Which can enhance your potential for a career advancement. Again, it's a little bit of a unique background to have the law background without the JD. Even our online students you build networks with the faculty, students, and alumni. Online students are invited to all events. So if you're local to campus or there's an event being hosted somewhere near you, you are welcome. You're part of the McGeorge community. The MSL can give you an opportunity to change employment or start a new career. So if you're kind of trying to shift what you're doing, but you need a legal background, the MSL can be a great way to do that. And then again, distinguish yourself with a unique degree. The MSL is unique in that, if you don't have a JD, you don't tend to have a background in law, you don't necessarily understand legal writing, research, and analysis. So it gives you a little bit of a unique background. Our program structure for the MSL, most students go part-time, which is 2 courses per semester, so 6 units. With that, those students can take more or less. So I do have some students who only take 1 course a semester, and then I have a few here and there that will go full-time, and then somewhere in between. It really just depends on your availability and what you feel like you can handle. Most students who are working full-time while obtaining their degree will not do more than 2 classes a semester. And even with that, sometimes our students have they're busier in the fall than they are in the spring. So in the fall, they might drop down to 1 class, and then in the spring, pick up 2 or 3. In your first semester, regardless of the concentration that you are in, all MSL students have to take our two introductory courses. So it's Intro to Legal Analysis and Contracts and Analytical Skills. These are both fully online asynchronous classes. So again, regardless of your concentration, you will have to take those. They're foundational for classes that you take later on. And then depending on your concentration or if you go without, your classes will vary based on what you're doing. And then you do need 26 units to graduate with the MSL. So if you go at the part-time 2 courses per semester, it will take you approximately 2 years to finish the degree. So these are our online concentrations have very structured required courses. So you can see here our government law and policy has executive branch, and this is in addition to those 2 introductory courses, executive branch and administrative state, legislatures and lawmaking, and then government law and policy making. Then we have 2 summer courses that are 1 unit each, which is persuasive public speaking and leadership and organization that our students do have to take. You'll see the water and environmental law has a similar structure, but it has a different and then an additional required course of water resources law and environmental law. Business law, your second semester is different from both of those. You take business organizations and negotiations, but you are still required to take those 2 summer courses. So our hybrid concentrations do not have as structured of a course requirement, just because some of those courses are that our MSL students are JD electives, which are offered on different rotations. And so in order to make sure that our students are not going to miss an opportunity to take a required course, or if it's not being offered that semester, outside of those first 2 classes, we do not have requirements. We just have courses that our students typically take that are focusing in this area. So for health law, you'll see that we have health law, reproductive rights and justice, elder and social policy. Students often also take some of our online courses like the executive branch class and the legislature and lawmaking, just because those teach you skills that are important in your other classes. So they're similar to administrative law and statutes and regulations. Human resources, employment law, and contract drafting, we now offer those online. We didn't used to, but we do have those online now. The implicit bias in law and labor law are both in-person courses on the Sacramento campus. And then under no concentration, I just have some classes that tend to interest students who are not interested in any of the other areas. So we do have classes on immigration law and policy. We have mediation, patent classes, and survey of intellectual property. And that one is also offered online now. Okay, so I'm going to go over the LLM. I'm not sure if anybody on here is interested in the LLM, but we'll discuss that very briefly. So why pursue an LLM? So it can help you gain comprehensive knowledge in a particular area of law. Many of us who went to law school didn't necessarily concentrate. And so this allows you the opportunity to either, if you did concentrate, to dig a little bit further. If you didn't, to get that, knowledge in that particular area, in this case, in water and environmental law. Also opens new career opportunities with a focused degree. So again, it's, very focused in water and environmental law. So if you're trying to get into that field, but you don't have the experience, you didn't take the classes in your JD program or your prior law education, this can be a great way to do it. Build valuable connections. Again, even though you're doing an online program, you have the opportunity to become part of the McGeorge community, the McGeorge alumni network, so you gain those valuable connections. And then an option in the LLM is to work with a professor, and this is an option in the MSL as well. It's just a little bit different, either to do a directed research or a master's thesis. So the master's thesis is obviously going to be something that is a publishable legal paper, and you work with a professor to do that. So eligibility for the LLM program, just because it tends to confuse people. Again, this is for students who already have a prior law education, where the MSL, you just need a bachelor's degree. The LLM program, you do need either graduation from an ABA law school, admission to a bar either in a foreign jurisdiction or a US. So if you did like a California accredited law school, you do need to be admitted to the bar in order to be eligible for our LLM. Or if you graduated from a law school in a foreign country, so typically that's if you have an LLB, you would be eligible for our LLM program. The structure of the LLM program, again, very similar to the MSL program. Most students go part-time at 6 units or 2 courses. Required courses are going to be the executive branch and administrative state, legislatures and lawmaking, water resources law, and environmental law. After that, you are free to take electives, and it takes 24 units to graduate with the LLM program. So this kind of covers all of our programs, but what makes them distinctive? Um, so because we have online concentrations, we do have many online courses that are available. All of our online courses are set up to be asynchronous with pre-recorded lectures. So you're not sitting in a Zoom session on a particular night every week for an hour or 2 hours or anything like that. The pre-recorded lectures are broken down typically under 20 minutes. So you watch little sections at a time, and then in addition to that, each week of the semester is broken down into a module. And in that module is all of your pre-recorded lectures, assignments, discussion boards, which is where our students get their interaction with classmates and the professor. Typically, the discussion boards are you post a response to the question posed by the professor, and then you have back and forth with your classmates, with the professor often chiming in as well. And that's how our online courses are set up, with a few exceptions of the persuasive public speaking class does have some live components, but we do make those well known in advance so that students can structure their schedules around it. And then the negotiations class, which is required for the business law concentration, optional for everybody else, does have some live parts to it, but I believe those are typically structured by the students just because you have to get into groups to practice negotiating skills. So everybody kind of works around each other's schedules in those situations. Um, Again, you become part of our McGeorge community. So whether you're online or hybrid, you are welcome to our campus. You gain access to the career service office, the library, the campus, any resources on the campus. And then when you graduate, you'll become a member of our alumni network. So you'll be invited to all the alumni events and things like that. And then you can go part or full time. So for those of you who joined a little bit late, again, while most students take 2 courses a semester, you do have the ability to take less or more depending on what you can handle as far as time and as far as the workload that each course provides, each course requires. Okay, so next steps, if you're interested in applying, our application is hosted on our website. There's no GRE or LSAT required. Our deadline is December 8th, but we do, if you've already started an application, if you're really wanting to apply for this coming spring, we do have some flexibility with that. But just keep in mind that classes do begin on January 12th. So you definitely want to have everything kind of done before then, just because you want to have time to get registered, get your books, and get settled before our classes actually start. Our application is pretty simple. It requires a personal statement, which is basically why you're interested in doing the MSL program or the LLM program. The MSL requires a writing sample. The LLM application does not. So the MSL requires a writing sample, which is something that you've written in the past for work or school. There's no topic requirement. There's no page length. It's just for the committee to be able to basically assess your writing capabilities. And then you have to upload a resume, transcripts. So if you have unofficial copies, that is fine for that application process. If you are admitted and you decide to come to McGeorge, you will be required to obtain your, excuse me, official copies before the first day of class. We do give a little bit of flexibility in the spring, just because campuses are closed for the holidays. So but just know you'll have to get those eventually. And then letters of recommendation. So typically from professional or from academic, no colleagues and like friends, family, nothing like that. We do really want to see people who can speak to your work ethic, write those letters. So if you've been out of school for, I would say, more than 5 years, supervisors are completely fine within work. But if you are a recent grad, we do want to, if possible, see a recommendation from a professor. And you can upload up to three, but we only require one. Um, with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. So like I said, you can pop them in the Q&A and I will be happy to answer them. Um, excuse me. Somebody does have a question about the scholarships. We do have scholarships available. There's no additional application for a scholarship. You can just the decision is made with your application. So our admissions committee looks at your whole application, but they will focus on the resume and your transcripts. And there are two different scholarships that you are considered for. One is the Dean's Merit Scholarship, which is up to $8,150. It's non-renewable and it's split between your first and second semester. The second scholarship is the Graduate Student Scholarship, and that is a maximum of $2,000, again, split between your first and second semester. And that one is also not renewable, but it does alleviate some of that first year cost. Just because I know there's typically questions around cost. Our program is, we charge per unit. So right now our tuition is $1,591 per unit for the MSL. It's slightly less for the LLM, and I can't remember exactly what it is. So if somebody has a question about that, please let me know. But we charge you each semester based on what you take. So some of our students who are paying completely out of pocket will take the amount of units that they can pay. And then our business office allows you to set up payment plans throughout the semester. So I think it's 3 or 4 payments throughout the semester that you can structure that into. And then some of our students do take out financial aid loans. So our program is eligible. So do complete your FAFSA if that's something that you're looking to use to pay for school. Are there any other questions? Oh, somebody has a question. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can unmute you. Okay, you can talk.
Okay, thank you so much. I thought I saw a scholarship, an alumni recommendation one. Um,
Yes. And I apologize for not mentioning that. If an alumni writes a letter of recommendation for you for the program, it's not a scholarship, but it's a tuition discount of 5%.
all right, thank you. And then what would be the deadline for the deans? Like, when do we need to apply by to see if we qualify for that one?
For the alumni or for the dean's merit?
The dean's one, the
Um,
scholarship.
so we consider everybody, even if you apply late. So I would say try to get yours in before Christmas, just because it becomes difficult for us. The university shuts down for the holidays. So I would definitely say try to get as close to that December 8th as possible.
All right, thank you. And then one last question. Is there a place where I can find the exact curriculum? Because I'm thinking of doing like more than one program, so I would be doing just the MSL, and I just kind of want to see what classes, overlap or what kind of electives I can just take, and it would count towards both concentrations.
Yeah, what I can do is I have your name, so I will, I think we were emailing a little bit, but I didn't provide a lot of detail. So I will send you a follow-up email with information on that.
Thank you so much.
No problem. So we have another question. Do you accept older Do you accept and welcome older students, somebody who has many years of professional experience? Absolutely. So our MSL and LLM programs were actually both designed originally designed for working professionals. So many of our students were, anywhere from 10, 15, 20 years into their career. Over the last couple of years, that has changed slightly. We do have some coming from straight from undergrad, and then we also have some students coming with only a couple years of work experience. But we very much still, I would say the majority of our students have been in their careers for quite some time and are on a little bit of the older side. And honestly, it makes for interesting class discussions and things because we have people kind of coming from different perspectives of having practiced and done work in the world versus people that have just kind of been in college and only have read about it. So, but we do welcome older students and we do have students kind of on a wide variety of ages. Any other questions? I'm just going to give you guys a couple minutes. If you don't have questions, please feel free to sign off. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to get a hold of me, I did put my direct email there, but I will also pop it. I don't know if I can pop it in the chat, actually. Let's find out. So you can copy it. Um, so if you have questions that you would prefer to talk about just with me one-on-one, just send me an email. We can either set up a time or we can chat over email. But other than that, I'm just going to give you guys like 2 minutes to put more questions in. Otherwise, I will end this webinar here in 2 minutes. Okay, yeah. Somebody had a question about our admission cycle. So we do fall and spring. So right now we are focused on spring applicants, but we are still processing if you're applying for fall 26. So fall begins in mid-August. Our spring classes begin in January, but we do fall and spring admission cycles every year. So if you don't get everything in time or you feel like spring is too soon, just know that you can definitely apply for fall. It gives you a little bit more time. Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to hear from each of you at some point. I will probably follow up with an email later today or tomorrow, just checking in and seeing if there was anything that you didn't get to ask. So definitely be on the lookout for that email. Um, Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and thank you so much.